on the cyber proposal for Biodesign Innovation Labs. My name is Tyler.
My name is Hannah.
I'm Arnav.
My name is Calvin.
My name is Alejandro.
And my name is Giacomo.
Okay, so Biodesign Innovation Labs is a dynamic and interactive and innovative company that makes high-end products at an international level. Their main product is a high-quality, cheap, portable ventilator. Okay, Biodesign Innovation Labs has offices all around the United States. Their main office is in India. Their product is portable. It's very much cheaper than a regular ventilator. Their goal is to save lives, and currently they're working on making everything more available in the hospitals around these areas. In India and the United States, they're trying to grow, basically, and
let's go over some of the main points we're going to go over in our slide. First and foremost, we're going to go over the SWOT analysis of the status quo. In addition, we're also going to outline the problems with the status quo, along with some solutions we have and how we're going to implement these solutions plus some regulations. After that, we're going to do incident response, and to top it all off, we're going to talk about future endeavors.
So, like you said, we're going to go into our SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So some strengths that Biodesign has is that their product is really strong and it has already good of a client base, as its affordability and its portability is very accessible to hospitals in areas that have issues with these things. And their device collects accurate data from the patient. Some weaknesses that this device has and the company has overall is that it's not FDA or EDA approved, and that the device the information is being moved between the device to the cloud that is easily hackable, as there's not enough encryption. And some opportunities that we're looking to do to make this product better and more secure is to create a strong encryption between the mobile app and the web app and the device, and to make sure that the connection is very strong and it's not hackable when it's being moved between the different areas. And some threats is that since most of the data is backed up and stored on the cloud, it makes it very easily to be hackable by people.
Okay, and now to just get into some of the security concerns that our team has collected these past couple of days. So we've found a lot of vulnerabilities in their current system, so they lack a very good testing infrastructure for all of their software. So there is a very large potential for insecure data handling at places such as their mobile app, their web app, and their SD card usage. And furthermore, when this data does eventually reach the cloud, without it being properly encrypted before it reaches the cloud, there's a significant risk of having data breaches. And as a team, what we'd like to see is them actually encrypting that data before they're sending it out. Right now, that's only happening when it gets to the cloud, and that's a big vulnerability for the company. And lastly, we don't like that the company is their manual approach to data backups. We think that it can increase their risk of having data losses. And we also think that it introduces risk of their system crashing due to an overload of information.
So, as Hannah and Giacomo stated a little bit earlier, there's a mobile app and a web app along with an SD card on the actual device. So let's walk through the process the data takes from beginning to end. First, of course, patient data is recorded. Afterward, it's sent straight to the SD card, and then from there, it goes to a multitude of places. One, it goes to the mobile app. This is an outlet for patients to be able to view their own data. Two, it goes to the web app. This is only able to be accessed by doctors and hospitals. Three, it goes to the cloud. Our company uses 3 different clouds: AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud servers. And as you can see, this is the only place where encryption process takes place. Because of that, these 3 are great outlets for hacking to happen. With the solutions that we'd like to put in place, this is more like what the data would be looking like. The basic structure is pretty much the same, but the 2 ways arrows represent 2-way encryption. And of course, we're going to be implementing periodic data backups, maybe quarterly every 3 months, into the cloud. And I'd also like to bring attention to when the patient data is recorded and sent to the SD card, we'd like to put in some kind of password or 2-factor authentication, just so that it adds that one more level of security.
Okay, and now I'm just going to go into more detail on what our novice common novice. So we have a 5-step protocol that we are proposing for this company in order to make everything more secure. So that starts, of course, with the password policy and management system. So we'd like to utilize a hashing algorithm, and for those that aren't experienced with that, it is basically an algorithm where it takes a normal password and it converts that into another piece of text that is a lot longer. And basically, once it's converted to this hash, that's all that we want the company to store, because if a hacker does get into the system and they find all the hashed passwords, it's actually almost computationally infeasible to bring those hashes back into the correct passwords. And in terms of data encryption, we very much need to be following HIPAA guidelines on this in terms of always having patient confidentiality in terms of their patient data. And we just want to leverage a 256-bit encryption to do this, which is recommended by the Advanced Encryption Standard. And then furthermore, in terms of our hardware side of things, we're getting away from the software, we'd like to use something called a trusted platform module, which is basically a special chip that can be used in these sort of hardware devices, such as the respirator, so that not only is the data being encrypted within the hardware itself before it is even sent anywhere, but it also has something called a secure boot, which means that any time the device is started up, it is going to be automatically checking for any systems that have been tampered with or anything that has been changed on the device that looks suspicious. And then furthermore, in addition to our increased encryption for the passwords with hashing, we want to, as Arnav said, bring in multi-factor authentication, and that can be anywhere from biometric verification to tokens. And we overall just want to add another layer of identification and securing our system as best as possible. And lastly, as a preventative measure, we of course want to introduce employee training into his company more, which is something that he currently doesn't have in terms of cybersecurity. So we would just want to constantly be updating them on cybersecurity best practices, as well as the most recent security protocols.
So let's talk about budgets. Biodesign Innovation Labs has given us a budget of $25,000. The way we're going to use this budget is we're going to install a cyber insurance, which is going to cost us a total of $1,740 a year. And we're also implementing a software, which is NM Maps, Virus Totals, and Patch My PC, which comes to a total of $3,000. And that takes our total to $4,740 a year.
Some laws and regulations that we must follow with this device. Now, our company is a multinational company that operates in India, US, and in Europe. So many of these guidelines take place in one or more of these countries. Now, the first one is the ISO 27001, which is one of the world's best known norms for security management systems. The next one is UL 2900, which is a set of guidelines released by a company called UL, which is a worldwide safety and consulting and certification company. The next is NIST 800-171, which is a set of security requirements and guidelines to ensure the confidentiality of controlled unclassified information. And then we also have the CSA STAR, which STAR stands for Security, Trust, Assurance, and Risk. And that is a thorough independent third-party test of a cloud provider's security posture. And finally, we have the IEC 62304, which is a worldwide norm made by the International Electronic Commission, established to set specific criteria for medical software in medical devices. Now, to implement this plan, first we would pitch this idea that we are all pitching to you now, and then with that pitch, we would also include the costs. Next, we would set up a kickstart to formulate a step-by-step program to implement this program into the company, and then we would manually install the software on all of the devices in the company, all the respiratory devices. And then finally, we would always make sure that these devices are always up to date in both software and hardware.
So currently, our company has no form of incident response plan. So this was one of the biggest things we talked about in our meetings. And I know this is a lot, but I've tried splitting it up into 3 distinct parts: pre-incident, during the incident, and post-incident. So pre-incident consists of mostly preparing different protocols and staff training, definitely, to look for very common cyber attacks and the vulnerabilities within their company. As mentioned earlier, we'd like to implement some kind of software on the actual devices and databases. We'd also like to implement a business continuity plan, which I'll get into more a little bit later. And of course, establishing some kind of cybersecurity or IT team. During the incident, it's important to act quickly because a hacker can take pretty much all your data in less than a day. The fastest things, or the most important things you can do are contact an IT professional and, of course, maintain the breach. You can do this by disconnecting connected networks and devices from the access point, resetting all of your passwords, and restricting access to the critical data. Post-incident, it's important to debrief. What happened? Who did it? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Why did it happen? What was the vulnerability? It's important to ask these questions as a business to grow. Again, it's also important to recover as well. Assessing the damage and notifying the affected parties is a part of guidelines that are really important as well. As I mentioned earlier, this is a business continuity plan we'd like to set in stone. It's important to ask ourselves as a business, what is the biggest risk potential here? As a medical company, they have a lot of data that they store every single day. And across multiple nations, it's important that they have this data locked down and secured. It's important to use these stored backups to operate. As we saw in the flowcharts earlier, really the only 2 data storage softwares are one, the cloud, which are spread across AWS and Google Cloud, but also the SD card on the actual machine itself. Employing customer communication plan. When a breach is happening, it's really important to identify where it happened, but before, it's important to tell your customers and your employees that it is happening. They know where the data is stored and how to lock it down as well. And yeah, that segues into protecting critical data. And of course, it's crucial to test the plan. Different forms of pen testing is really important because obviously you don't want this data to be publicized. Different kinds of screening and auditing is also encouraged. We used a ton of different sources, so here they are. And I'd like to thank you all for your time.